Mercedes had one of the worst weekends this season in Austria, one that was additionally hindered by the time penalties of Hamilton, but now they've set their eyes on their next target, Silverstone. This is the closest that they can call a home race due to its proximity to Prix, the home of Mercedes factory. And it's one of the key factors why Mercedes is bringing a large upgrade package for the W14. With the changes that the W14 will undergo, Wolff has made a shocking claim that brought back hope in not just Mercedes, but any F1 fan. Could we finally see another team winning a race in 2023? Now, ever since the newest philosophy of the W14 was introduced in Monaco and further exploited in Austria, it was evident that Mercedes had found something that not many were hoping they would: extraordinary pace. Both Hamilton and Russell were very competitive in Barcelona, finishing P2 and P3, and Hamilton's pace in Montreal was very promising as the team thought they would struggle to a certain extent. Still, the Austrian GP has shown that there is a lot of work to be done on the W14, as said by Wolff and Russell. And the blunt truth is that Mercedes is now struggling with one key aspect of their car: the consistency. This is something that, although not to the extent of last year, has happened for 2 consistent seasons, which is why there is a massive worry around the team that they might not get the car in the operating window for the remainder of the season. But what comes in Silverstone is something that definitely has the potential to push the car in the right direction. And that's the next big thing that Mercedes is hoping for. Prior to this, let's see what was essentially wrong for Mercedes in Austria and whether they can experience this issue in Silverstone again, putting themselves in a lot more trouble than usual. Hamilton has reported many issues with the car while driving around the Red Bull ring, to the extent of Wolff having to calm him down and saying that "we know the car is bad, just drive it." Hamilton has struggled to keep the car inside the white lines, something that earned him an initial 5-second penalty and then again a 10-second penalty in the aftermath of the race with the FIA's total chaos. When talking about this matter, Wolff admitted that the car was definitely not in the right window, and that's something that hurt the pace of both Hamilton and Russell. As the Austrian went on to elaborate, "The car had no pace today. It's a bruising day because we had such a good upward trend, and you have to take such a day. There was no pace and no inkling why yet. I think the moment you slide those tyres, be it through braking or the corners, you have no grip. This is what happened." But this wasn't an issue that the W14 struggled a lot with the newest upgrade package, and just when we thought that they gained the rear downforce that they were severely missing in the first couple of races of the season, it seems like it appeared again in Austria. This was one of the main reasons why Hamilton was not able to keep Norris at bay, as Mercedes had one of the worst weekends that you could have possibly imagined for the Brackley-based squad. However, worry not, Silverstone is just around the corner, and what Mercedes has prepared for this race does have the potential to shake up the grid, even though that seems like a bit of a distant scenario for the team right now. Silverstone is a race that suited the W14 a lot in the past, but with how the car struggled to perform on the desired level in the past 2 seasons, one couldn't help but wonder, what's the key element that could improve on the 2023 Challenger? One thing that Wolff hinted about fixing in the remainder of the season is the floor of the car. And rest assured that once this aspect starts to deliver the expected results, after everything that's been poured into the W14, then the competitiveness from Mercedes will increase through the roof. When talking about the upcoming race in Silverstone, one that Wolff labelled as a real opportunity for Mercedes to gain the first win of the season, he was very optimistic and went on to elaborate, "We're bringing a larger upgrade package to Silverstone, and then we should have another one before the summer shutdown. The learnings of the car have accelerated a lot since we changed some of the conceptual architecture. There should be decent steps coming in the next 4 races, and we're understanding better the simulations, which correlates with what we're seeing on track. That has been our problem over the last 1.5 years, but we're seeing good performance gains coming from the wind tunnel. We have a better understanding of what the car needs in order to go fast and what the setups needs to look like. The steps are getting bigger now, and we're making good inroads." However, you need to keep in mind that this was said prior to Austria, so it definitely raises a question or two when it comes to whether Mercedes can keep on their promise and provide a recent challenge on their home soil for Red Bull and Aston Martin. To top that off, they now have the Ferraris to fight with after their recent surge in performance in Austria, and all in all, one couldn't help but ask, is Mercedes back at ground zero? That question would be answered after the Silverstone GP, the race in which Mercedes won't be the only team that will bring an upgrade, but maybe the only team that would see a significant increase in the pace of the car. One reason why we're being led to believe this is that the nature of the upgrade will be an aerodynamic one, and according to James Allison, this is where the W14 has been bleeding out performance the most in the previous year and a half. As we saw in Austria with McLaren, just 1/3 of an upgrade in this sector is enough to bring the car where it needs to be, competing with the top dogs. While Norris is yet to prove that he's everything but a one-race wonder after Austria, there will be a lot of changes coming to his car as well, and that same process will apply to the W14, generally happening on the floor of the car. This is the aspect from which Mercedes hopes to gain more performance, mostly thanks to the fact that the floor itself helps in generating around 40% of the total downforce on the car. Furthermore, they're also not convinced that the downwash side pod design is one that's making the car a much smoother drive. So with all this in mind, there might be future changes to the design that is now adopted from the entire grid. Hamilton has also teased about the Silverstone upgrades, one that he was asked about during the Austrian GP, and whether he feels like the car has been moving in the right direction, a question to which he answered, "Yeah, finally, we brought a lot of upgrades last year and we did make some progress, but we found with this generation of cars adding performance was not easy. When you added performance in the wind tunnel, it looked like it was a real performance. But then you put them on the car and the car would bounce more. And so finally this year we're starting to make changes to the car that actually do improve the car and don't add more bouncing. I think we're still turning, but we've got progress, real progress that's coming over the next months, which is really exciting to see. So yeah, I can't wait. And just in terms of being in the car, I'm starting to feel more confident in it. So finally feeling more like a race car." Again, keep in mind that this was said prior to the beginning of the race and Hamilton experiencing all of the issues with the car. But nonetheless, the W14 has a lot of undiscovered potential, and Russell has hinted that the majority of this potential will be unlocked from the new floor upgrades, something we're desperately waiting to see in Silverstone. Be that as it may, Mercedes is now going through a rough patch, one that might see the team either losing more performance out of the car or become firmly the only challenger that could push Red Bull out of the monotonous dominance that we've been experiencing for the second season in a row. If there is a team out there that has the potential to do this, it's definitely Mercedes. But with all the recent inconsistencies and with how the car has been acting on different tracks, it's evident that there is a lot more work to be done on the car, starting from Silverstone and further pushing in Budapest. So, do you think that the W14 has what it takes to challenge Red Bull with the new floor? Or do you think that we're doomed to a one-sided monotonous season all along in 2023? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below.